This is the sound of hope. A spontaneous chorus raised by a group of friends who have lived through one of the most horrific events in their lifetime. They are truly giving God all the praise. But there is one young lady here, singing the lead, who has overcome much more than anyone could ever imagine. Ferlandi Fadieu is a walking miracle. I was inside my house, says Ferlandi, when the earthquake started. The ground was almost moving like a snake. So I was so scared and I was trying to escape, but I didn't have time to make it to the door. The building caved in on her. I was hand in hand with one of my cousins, and I had a sister in the house, but she stayed in her room. For the next 2 hours, Ferlandi lay under the rubble of her house, her cousin laying lifeless on top of her. She would later learn that her sister had died in the other room, but Ferlandi didn't give up hope that someone would find her alive. It was hard for them to realize that I was still alive, Ferlandi says, because I was really immobilized. The only limb I had to move was this arm, so when they came by to rescue me, they thought I was already dead. Because I couldn't talk, because I was so tired, so I moved my hand, and that's when they realized that I was still alive. She suffered not just injuries to her body, but also to her mind. Afraid of loud noises and entering large buildings, she needed help, and that's where your generosity came in. Ferlandi and her friends are part of the Leadership Development Program run by Compassion Haiti. In the days and weeks following the earthquake, you gave to Crossroads Missions. And in a joint effort with Compassion Canada, we were able to fund emergency response efforts in the country and bring vital programs like post-trauma care to many young people affected by the earthquake, like Ferlandi. Yes, I was traumatized for the first 6 months, she says. But thanks to Compassion, they took me to a specialist. They sent me to have psychological therapy, and with the support of my parents, I am better now. Now singing and laughing with her friends once again, Ferlandi is slowly making her way back to a healthy and whole lifestyle. For Jean-Jacques Ilisson, the Compassion Haiti Disaster Response Coordinator, and once a Compassion-sponsored child himself, connecting with children and youth emotionally affected by the events of January 12th are important to him and his team.
We hired 2 psychologists and a social worker to work with the children who have been affected by the earthquake emotionally. We have the psychologists go to the projects and meet with the children, the parents, and even the tutors, people working with the children, to help them verbalize the problems or the trauma or the problems that they have faced as a result of the earthquake.
Louis-Jean Wilner is one of the psychologists hired by the emergency response team. Today, he is training other Compassion child workers on how to discuss the emotional effects of the earthquake with the children in their communities. We advise our monitors, says Louis-Jean Wilner, that the best thing they can use to help the children deal with their emotions is the Word of God. However, in order to do this, or to understand their emotions, we ask them questions. And in so doing, he says, they express themselves so that workers have a way of going over the emotions and present a solution, and at the same time address the issue and help them with the problem. The effects of the earthquake are vast and complex, and with 22 initiatives set to help Haiti get back on its feet, Jean-Jacques Ilisson has a lot of work ahead of him. But he says the Compassion Emergency Response Team is determined to help bring healing to the nearly 70,000 Compassion children and their families.
We have already helped 5,588 families having a shelter, a transitional shelter, and we plan to help some families in having permanent shelter. Another activity that is part of this whole response, disaster response, is an income generation activity that we are running.
That income generation activity that Ilisson is talking about is another emergency response initiative your donations helped make possible. Many Compassion families lost their businesses after the earthquake, so small microcredit loans were distributed to get them back on their feet. Darlene Cadet was one of the recipients. My business was affected, says Darlene. As a matter of fact, I have lost my mother and all the customers I had previously. I lost them. Everything was gone. Thanks to this microcredit, she says, now I am relaunching and I'm getting back my customers. For Paul-Henri Celesca, who has one child in the Compassion program, losing his side street business was difficult for his family. But after receiving the microcredit loan, he was able to reopen as well. The microcredit program that I'm involved in, says Paul-Henri, has helped me that right this very week, my children are already in school. A parachurch ministry, Compassion prides itself on coming alongside local churches, some of whom have their own schools, and partnering with them as children get sponsored and receive an education rooted in biblical teachings. But with 235 projects in the country, when the earthquake hit, suddenly Compassion was responsible for not just making sure the daily needs of their children were met, but also making sure emergency relief was available as well.
Don't forget, we have to have business as usual going on. We've got 65, 70,000 children we have to care for every day. On top of that, we now have the worst natural disaster this country has ever had in its history. So we have to continue helping all of those children, plus add to that all the additional disaster response work. That's where this extra money was needed. And through the kindness of God's people in Canada and around the world, we've raised enough money to do that.
And that meant while this particular project suffered structural damage, the children and families were able to receive immediate care while they rebuild. An effort Slonwhite says was made possible by the generous financial support from viewers like you.
Well, it's been fantastic. Not only has it been a financial blessing, but it's been a moral boost for us. To have Crossroads, Huntley Street, and all the viewers supporting and praying for us, it's really, I mean, the staff here, our Haitian brothers and sisters, were so encouraged when they heard that all these viewers across Canada were praying for them, and that on Huntley Street they were showing video clips of the work here. So the money that's been raised through the Crossroads and 100 Huntley Street partnership has come to Haiti, 100% of it has come to Haiti to help pay for some of these disaster response mechanisms that we have in place.
And people like Paul-Henri, Darlene, and Ferlandi and her friends can have a chance at a brighter future.